I'd like to introduce the first speaker today, Indian River County Commissioner Bob Solari.
Good afternoon. This is a great day. It's a great day for the Taxpayers Association and for democracy in Indian River County. It's very wonderful to see a room like this filled with citizens eager to become better informed about an issue that is crucial to the long-term health of the Treasure Coast. Thank you all for coming here today, and my special thanks to Mr. Kistler and the Taxpayers Association for putting on this wonderful event. I'd also like to mention a couple of citizens before I get started. These two people have worked tirelessly to try to bring out some of the facts about all of North Florida and to try to educate our community along the Treasure Coast. These are Casey Traylor and Phyllis Fry, who are one thing I've been saying for years is that for democracy to flourish, we need citizens who participate, and I thank them for that. And I know I'm beginning to sound a little bit like an Academy Award winner, but I'd also like to thank Mr. Reininger for coming today. This type of community dialogue is important, and it would not be possible without his participation. Thinking about all of North Florida in today's discussion, the big question that I came up with was something surprising. We all know why the Fortress Investment Group hopes to run 32 trains a day and speeds up to 110 miles per hour through Indian River County. That reason is clear. It is to increase the value of the many Fortress Investment Group companies, which will benefit from the rail project, and to maximize the wealth of the many smart and hardworking people at Fortress and its investors. Now, the big question is simply this. Why are so many people along the Treasure Coast so opposed to this particular project? It is not because we are against business. Indian River County has shown itself, particularly over the last 6 years, to be very, very business friendly. It is not because we're against rail generally. The Amtrak discussion of about 4 years ago showed clearly that the majority of people in Indian River County would welcome the light rail project. During the Amtrak discussion, I pretty much stood alone against Amtrak because the promoters of that project would never produce an investment-grade business plan. And my work showed that for each dollar of ticket revenue that Amtrak took in, about $9 of the public's money would be necessary to subsidize Amtrak's operations. I believe that the main reason so many of us are against the project is because the people from Fortress have simply not been telling the truth, and the citizens of the Treasure Coast know this. We can feel that we are being told half-truths and are being misled. A simple example of this happened in June. In a letter to Michael Reininger, the president of all of North Florida, Governor Scott called for a detailed conversation about this new rail service. Mr. Reininger responded in a letter the very next day stating, quote, "We share your desire for a full and transparent examination of our project." Yet, just 1 week later, all of North Florida goes to court to block public release of its most sensitive information, its financial and ridership projections. In other words, all of North Florida will be full and transparent with all but the meaningful information necessary to make a rational decision about the viability of this project. Many, many such examples can be found, but because of time constraints, I will limit myself to just a selection of misleading statements that can be gleaned from a single issue of Inside Bureau, an article that Mr. Reininger wrote for that magazine in their July 17th issue. Mr. Reininger of all of North Florida writes, "To begin, safety is our unwavering first priority. Safety is our unwavering first priority. If all of North Florida were telling the whole truth, there would be some mention of the additional deaths that can be anticipated once 32 trains start flashing through our community at 110 miles per hour." Mr. Reininger writes, "In the United States, Amtrak Acela service in the northeast corner connects New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C., and is profitable when segregated from the rest of the public subsidized system." Not exactly true. When Rusty Roberts of all of North Florida made a statement at the Chamber of Commerce function, he said that the Acela line made an operating profit. When asked about the difference between a profit and an operating profit, Mr. Roberts said that it would be profitable once you remove Amtrak's bloated administrative costs. But even that is misleading because it does not include the capital costs paid for by the federal government, and capital costs are an overriding concern in a high capital infrastructure venture like rail. Mr. Reininger of All Aboard Florida writes, the magic is in the formula. Now I actually believe that. It will take a good magic trick for passenger rail to be profitable along the east coast of Florida. Mr. Reininger writes, the notion of our business is some sort of Trojan horse designed really to result in additional freight capacity in the corridor is illogical and just plain silly. Let me restate Mr. Reininger's comment. For you people to think that spending over $1 billion to upgrade the antiquated infrastructure upon which our freight business depends might make our freight business more profitable is illogical and just plain silly. What is illogical and just plain silly is for anyone to think that Fortress's freight and other transportation businesses will not be made much more profitable when $1.6 billion of our tax dollars are used to improve Fortress's infrastructure. Mr. Reininger of All Aboard Florida writes, Indian River County benefits greatly from the development of All Aboard Florida. This project will generate more than $192 million in economic impact and will create almost 400 jobs during construction. And the last two are the key words, during construction. This is the Irish Wake theory of economic development. The most renowned citizen in an Irish village dies. For 3 days, people pour in from the countryside and the small villages around the town. The inn is filled, the ale flows, the Catholic priest is ecstatic because thousands of masses are being paid for the soul of the healing department. The economy booms. The Great One is laid in the ground. The next day, all that is left of the Great One and the burst of economic activity are the memories and the debt. Finally, in the same paragraph, Mr. Reininger writes, it will also generate millions of dollars of new tax revenue to local, state, and federal coffers. Millions of dollars of new tax revenue in Indian River County? No, perhaps to Miami and Orlando. Our Public Works Director estimates that just the additional cost to the county of maintaining new improved crossings will cost our citizens an extra, on average, $280,000 a year. This has just been a partial discussion of a one-page article written by the President of All Aboard Florida. The article clearly has done more to hide the truth than to reveal it. Those of us who are trying to rationally assess the value of All Aboard Florida so that we can determine what the actual impact of the project will be to our community face the same barriers to the truth every day. Ask your friends and neighbors who are working on this. Visit the county and the Florida Not All Aboard websites. Continue reading newspapers and doing your homework. The truth is out there. It is simply not in the press releases of the Florida Investment Group. Most members of the Taxpayers Association understand that America's great mission is to secure the conditions necessary for liberty to flourish. Chief among these are strong national defense, traditional morality, free markets, and limited government. However, we also understand that strong national defense does not mean having a war economy during times of peace. Traditional morality does not mean simply me imposing my morality on you, and limited government does not mean no government at all. Similarly, free markets in 21st century America does not mean unbridled maximization of shareholder wealth. When Henry Flagler built the Florida East Coast Railway in the 1890s, the robber barons ruled America's Gilded Age. The anything-goes philosophy of laissez-faire was dominant in American business, and markets were substantially unrestrained. But the 20th century happened. In 1907, President Teddy Roosevelt said, "Our laws have failed in enforcing the performance of duty by the man of property towards the man who works for him, by the corporation towards the investor, the wage earner, and the general public." The 20th century did happen, and during the 20th century, the responsibilities of the corporate citizen were laid out. It is time for Fortress and its corporate children to to live up to these responsibilities in 21st century America. If the people from Fortress and all aboard Florida really want to work with the people of Indian River County and Treasure Coast and not simply run over Treasure Coast, they need to understand that with property rights come responsibilities, and with corporate citizenship come certain duties owed to the community. Thank you.